story. But anyway, he told him to chill out, like, hey, calm down. So on the way out, I guess Wolf didn't like that, pulled out a gun, took a couple of shots at them, and they returned fire and killed Wolf. Force. I started getting word that through an informant I had that the BMF was staying at the Royal Riga Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. And when they would come to New York, they would bring all these cars with them, either from down south or cars they had stored out in New Jersey, and they'd line them up on the block. And instead of valeting them, they used to pay off the doorman at the hotel to keep an eye on them. They didn't want anyone, I guess, going through their cars, doing whatever, and always have them staged there. And I heard they were having elaborate parties. We heard that, they started a record label, and they had this kid, Blue Da Vinci, and a couple other guys, I think Young Jeezy. They were tight with a lot of the Southern rappers. And to show off, they actually took a helicopter over a big outdoor party in Atlanta and were throwing cash out the helicopter down to people. So, they were also known coke traffickers. And so I said, all right, I'll take out a case on them, and maybe if they're moving some weight in New York, we'll figure it out. So also, I guess during that time, there was a beef between Meech and Wolf, Puffy's bodyguard. Right. They were at a club down in Atlanta, and apparently Wolf had a thing for some girl at one time, and the relationship soured, and he got really drunk, and he was being belligerent, really rude, and out of control with this girl. And maybe she had a new guy, or maybe she was with Meech. I don't know the story. But anyway, he told him to chill out, like, hey, calm down. So on the way out, I guess Wolf didn't like that, pulled out a gun, took a couple of shots at them, and they returned fire and killed Wolf and his buddy. I think it was Gertie was his last name. Maybe it was Lamont Gertie or one of those guys. And so, we knew that they weren't afraid of gunplay. We knew they were moving large weight. There was a couple of guys with them in New York that we identified. This one guy, Roy Williams, we heard he was doing credit card fraud, hustling a little bit, and he was maintaining some condominiums for BMF out in New Jersey, really nice condominiums over in Jersey City. So they started a BMF task force, and we all flew down to Orlando. The DEA threw everyone down there, and the case on BMF started nationwide. So all the narcotic cities that they had were predominantly, they were active in Miami, Atlanta, Detroit, and other smaller markets. So these guys were pushing major weight. Like in Miami, they put out a DVD that actually some kid in the Bronx did. It's called Smackdown or something like that.
Smack DVD?
What's that?
Smack DVD?
The DVD was called Smackdown something. Okay. But this kid in the Bronx was doing it. His name came back as the producer of it or whatever. But it showed them with all their cars in this mansion down in Miami. And I found out they were paying like $30,000 a month for the mansion, which was a lot of money back then.
Right. It's still a lot of money now.
So these guys, had it really, were moving a lot of shit. And they were putting drugs and money on tour buses. There was this rapper named Hannibal Leck, L-E-Q, like Hannibal Lecter, And he was on a tour bus of his own going towards, I think, L.A. I think his management was L.A. based. And the Arkansas State Police pulled him over, and they found like $700,000 on the bus. Now, the Arkansas State Police doesn't just randomly go, hey, there's a tour bus, let's pull it over and ransack it. So if memory serves me correctly, it was probably an informant who knew the money was on it, was probably going to get a percentage of that money through the DEA or somebody for his assistance. But anyway, they recovered the money. So that's a major loss. You can always replace drugs, but you can't replace money, So, that was major weight. So anyway, we all go down to this SOD conference, and we all get introduced to each other. So it's me and this DEA agent, Eric Henderson from New York, and we meet with all the guys from the case was based out of Atlanta, I believe. And I also believe that is the connection the first time DEA New York and the NYPD made contact with Greg Kading and the Biggie Task Force. If they weren't at that meeting, I think when they started their task force, they must have reached out probably because of their connection with Puffy and Wolfie being killed by BMF. But at any rate, there was a guy, Bob Bell, who was the case agent. He ran the entire case. And for whatever reason, he told us, if you guys are dealing with this LAPD Biggie task force, there's one detective on that task force I'm not dealing with, and he better not be on this case because he helped one of his informants beat a murder trial. So, you know, I'm not going to give up the detective's name. It doesn't mean anything, and I happen to really like the guy. But that was the first inkling of, again, all the things that were wrong with the LA case over the years, with all these strange things that happen that continually bring this dark cloud on that investigation, you know? So it's just weird. I don't know why I remembered that, but I don't know if it was warranted or not, because a lot of people talk shit in this business, just like they talk shit in any other one. But it was just a little interesting thing, and I always liked the guy, so I didn't really care either way.
But yeah, so how did that BMF, because these guys were hustling for a long time, how did you guys maintain to do what they did for so long?
You know, it's kind of a mystery to me why these guys were so flamboyant with their money. You know, They're throwing these parties. I'm sitting on the Royal Riga Hotel in Midtown. I'm by myself. I have a brand new black livery cab with the livery plates on it, the TLC plates on it. And I follow them off, and I follow them all the way up to Mount Vernon to a club called Sue's Rendezvous, which was like a black strip club up there. Yeah. And so finally one of my partners caught up to me, and he got up there, and I was like, I'm going to go inside. He's like, you can't go in there. I said, I'm fucking going in. Fuck it. So when I got to the door, I showed the guy my detective sheet, and I said, hey, I just want to get a few drinks to get the fuck out of here. The guy just looked at me. He's like, all right, go ahead. And anyway, I go in there, and there's bottles. Like they bought like half the bottles out of the place. I'm trying to get up and get a drink. Everybody's eye fucking me. Everybody in there was a player, you know, whatever. So I finally get a couple of drinks, and I'm hanging out, and I was like, you know what? I probably, you know.
Mike is showing this, yeah.
Right. You want to start it again?
No, go ahead. It's fine.
Yeah, so I figured sooner or later they're going to ask who I am, or say, you know, who the fuck are you, whatever. And there was no real intelligence to glean in there. I was looking to see if I knew any of the players. Anyway, I got out of there. We took some pictures, I think, you know, whatever, and went on our way. But the point is, they're coming to New York, and, you know, after Wolf got killed, there was a big bodyguard. I think his name was Roy, or Big Roy. I think it was Big Roy. And he was complaining to all the guys out on the street, like, what is Puffy doing hanging out with these BMF guys? They killed Wolf. Like, what is he doing? And that's the beginning of Puff showing his character. This guy's supposed to be like his best friend. He saved his ass countless times, and yet here he is hanging out with the guys that killed him, you know? And even though he brought it on himself, Wolf, it's still not cool. You know what I mean?
It's crazy how the whole thing was over a woman.
Yeah. Stupidity. Well, it's woman and alcohol, I guess, you know? And
pride. Maybe like something was said, or maybe he made him feel that somehow broke his ego or damaged his ego.
Some of these guys, they do, it's like they're blackout drunks. They don't know what they did. And anyway, it's not like he was a good guy. I mean, I think he was meant to meet a violent end in his life, you know? We first heard that he might have had a beef down there with some Nigerian heroin traffickers, and we quickly found out that wasn't the case. So I don't know if he was hustling or not, or that was a tip we got that was bullshit, but it's what it is.
Right.